One fateful day, as Olamma returned from yet another rendezvous with one of her admirers, a sudden wave of madness overcame her. It struck her like a bolt of lightning, leaving her disorientated and confused in the middle of the village square. Her mind became a whirlwind of chaotic thoughts and emotions. In a quaint African village named Ezike, where customs were deeply ingrained and trust held immense value, infidelity is viewed as a serious breach of trust and a violation of the sacred bond within marriages. Rooted in strong cultural values, the community places a significant emphasis on fidelity. The repercussion of infidelity is fatal, especially on their women. There lived a young couple named Olamma and Udoka. Their union, once a symbol of strength in the community, faced a profound test when whispers of infidelity reached the village's ear. Olamma was an epitome of beauty. She was known throughout the village for her stunning beauty and impeccable grace. Every time she walked down the village streets, heads turned and whispers followed in her wake. As Olamma began to receive admiration and attention from various men in the village, her character underwent a noticeable transformation. She would belittle her husband Udoka at any slightest provocation. Olamma's husband Udoka was a kind and gentle man. He was a farmer, very hardworking and devoted to his wife, but unfortunately, he lacked the charm and charisma that Olamma possessed. Despite his love for her, Olamma couldn't help but feel a sense of superiority over her husband due to the admiration she received from others. As time went on, Olamma's ego grew larger and she began to belittle Udoka in front of others. She would mock his simple ways. "You spineless coward," she would say to him, her voice dripping with contempt. "You are nothing but a weakling, unable to satisfy a woman's need or desires." Udoka recoiled at the venom in Olamma's words, his heart heavy with the weight of her scorn. He tried to speak to defend himself against accusations, but found himself silent by the depth of her anger. "You are a fool to think I would find satisfaction in the arms of a pathetic man like you," Olamma continued, her voice rising with each word. "I deserve more than this life of mediocrity you have condemned me to." Udoka's heart shattered at the realization that the woman he loved had become a stranger to him, her words cutting deeper than any physical wound. He bowed his head in silence, unable to bear the pain of her betrayal and the loss of the woman he once knew. Udoka endured this treatment silently, hoping that one day his love for Olamma would be enough to change her heart. However, Olamma's behavior only worsened. She started to neglect Udoka, spending more time socializing with other villagers who admired her beauty. Udoka felt increasingly isolated and lonely in his own home. Olamma, with her captivating beauty and charm, found herself the recipient of numerous gifts from different men in the village. They were drawn to her like moths to a flame, enchanted by her radiant presence and elegance. Each day, Olamma would find herself showered with tokens of admiration, delicate flowers, intricate jewelry, and money, each gift more extravagant than the last. These offerings only fueled Olamma's vanity, feeding her ego and reinforcing her belief in her own superiority. One day, Udoka sat Olamma down, his expression grave and his voice tinged with concern. "I need to speak with you about something important," he began. "It's about the attention and gifts you have been receiving from other men in the village," Udoka said gently. "I know you enjoy the admiration, but you must be very careful not to let it lead you astray. You must understand the tradition of our village. I hope you are not having any sexual relationship with any of them. Infidelity is not taken lightly here. The repercussions are disastrous." Olama's frustration simmered as Udoka voiced his concerns about the village's tradition regarding infidelity. She began, her tone edged with exasperation. "This notion of fidelity being the cornerstone of our village value is archaic and unrealistic." Udoka's brows furrowed in response to Olama's defiance. "But Olamma, it's been this way for generations. It's what holds our community together." Olamma shook her head, her frustration mounting. "Times have changed, Udoka. We can't cling to outdated customs just because they've been around for centuries. Besides, had it been you are not a weakling and obviously can't take care of me, I wouldn't be collecting gifts from men. Besides, it's just an innocent gift." Despite Udoka's warning on the traditions of their village, Olamma found herself unable to resist the allure of attention and admiration from other men. She continued to revel in the gifts and flattery that came her way, ignoring the consequences of her actions. As time passed, Olamma no longer cared about the consequences of her actions or the impact they would have on her marriage and reputation. She would always dress seductively to impress her admirers. As time goes on, she started having sexual intercourse with her admirers as long as they came bearing gifts. As whispers began to spread throughout the village about Olama's intimate relationship with her admirers, some shook their heads in disapproval, while others whispered behind closed doors. Udoka, unable to bear the sight of her, began to distance himself emotionally and physically from his wife. He stopped eating the meals she prepared and also stopped having sexual relationship with her, scared for his own life, as tradition demands. If not, he would face the wrath of the gods too when it comes knocking. He found solace only in the solitude of his own thoughts. One fateful day, as Olamma returned from yet another rendezvous with one of her admirers, a sudden wave of madness overcame her. It struck her like a bolt of lightning, leaving her disorientated and confused in the middle of the village square. Her mind became a whirlwind of chaotic thoughts and emotions, her once sharp wit dulled by the overwhelming storm raging within her. She stumbled through the street, her gaze vacant and unseeing, oblivious to the concerned whispers that followed her erratic behavior. The village healer was summoned, his expertise sought in the hope of finding a cure for Olama's madness. "My son," the healer began, his voice grave with solemnity, "what has befallen your wife is not of this world. It is the wrath of the gods, a punishment for sin committed against the natural order of things." Udoka's heart sank at the healer's words, the weight of his wife's affliction bearing down on him like a heavy burden. He searched the healer's eyes for a glimmer of hope, but found only sorrow and resignation. "Is there nothing that can be done?" Udoka asked, his voice choked with emotions. The healer shook his head sadly. "I'm afraid not, my son. The God's will is beyond our comprehension, and their wrath cannot be appeased by mortal means. All we can do is pray for mercy and hope that their judgment is not too harsh. With a heavy heart, Udoka thanked the healer for his counsel and turned to leave, his mind filled with despair at the realization that there was nothing he could do to save his beloved wife from the God's wrath. Days turned into weeks, and still, Alama remained lost. Her once beautiful soul consumed by the darkness of madness. As Olama's descent into madness became evident to the villagers, the same men who had once showered her with admiration and gifts now turned their backs on her in her time of need. With whispers of Olama's madness spreading like wildfire through the village, the men who had once longed for her attention now avoided her like the plague. The moral lesson from this story teaches us the destructive power of pride. Olama's obsession with admiration and vanity untimely led to her downfall. Her pride blinded her to the value of her marriage, resulting in her losing everything she held dear. It also teaches us to respect tradition, but challenge injustice. Don't underrate people's tradition because you don't understand it. Self-respect is golden. No matter how beautiful you are, self-worth and integrity is the ultimate. Never compromise your dignity and respect for anyone. And lastly, it teaches us contentment. Be happy and contented with whomever you are with. It's not always greener at the other side. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do. Like and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss out on any of our amazing stories. Bye.